Robert the doll, who has been dubbed the most evil doll in the world, is said to be so horribly cursed that just looking at him can send shivers down your spine. And if you dare to touch his lifeless button eyes, he will unleash vengeance upon you. But what is it about Robert the doll that makes him so scary? And what dark secrets does he hold? Join me today in this video where we shall explore the terrifying true story behind Robert the doll, which is far more sinister than the Child's Play movie series. So if you're ready, let's start the video. Robert Eugene Otto was an ordinary boy who lived in an ordinary house with his family in the 1920s. That was until he found an old, dirty, and strange doll in the attic of their new home. Robert Eugene Otto was so fascinated by this doll that he decided to take it downstairs and introduce it to his friends and family as Robert the doll. However, it didn't take long for them to realize that Robert the doll wasn't any ordinary doll. As days went by, they began noticing strange and creepy things happening around the doll. For example, Robert the doll would move on his own accord. He would also change his position from where they last left him. And in some instances, he would even interact with other people as if he had a mind of his own. For instance, the doll would mysteriously turn up in different rooms of the house every now and then. One time it was found hanging upside down from the banisters on the staircase, while another time it was seen dangling from a tree in the garden. It was almost like Robert the doll was playing some sort of deadly game with his human counterparts, and he relished in scaring them. Not only that, but Robert the doll would also respond to questions that were asked of him. And according to reports, he would always reply in a gruff voice saying, "I'm coming to get you." It is also said that Robert the doll would speak in other languages such as German, French, and Latin, which scared those around him even more because they had no idea how he learned these languages. They began to suspect that Robert the doll was a demon in disguise, and they feared that he was going to possess the body of young Robert Eugene Otto. They tried everything they could think of to stop Robert the doll from causing chaos in their home, but nothing worked. The only person who seemed immune to the doll's evil powers was Robert Eugene Otto himself. He was fascinated by Robert the doll and wanted to be around him all the time. He talked to the doll like it was his best friend, and he never seemed to be scared or threatened by its presence. This made everyone else in the house extremely worried because they thought that Robert Eugene Otto was going to end up being possessed by the doll. One day, Robert Eugene Otto's mother went to the attic to get something, and she found a box filled with other dolls. She opened the box, and the dolls started moving. Then she heard a voice say, "Beware, beware, the one who brings me out must die." After she heard this, she quickly shut the box and ran away. She told her husband what had happened, and he laughed it off as just a figment of her imagination. But this wasn't the case, because shortly after she had found the dolls, one of them turned up in her son's bed. It was as if the dolls were trying to warn her not to mess with them. As time passed, things started getting worse in the Otto household. People began experiencing strange and terrifying phenomena on a regular basis, such as doors opening and closing on their own, objects moving around the house, and disembodied voices whispering in the middle of the night. There were even some instances when people saw shadows moving around the house, but when they turned on the lights, there was nothing there. It was almost like the house itself was haunted by some sort of evil presence. All of this led to everyone in the Otto household becoming convinced that their house was haunted by demons. They did everything they could to get rid of the evil presence, such as holding religious ceremonies and seances, but nothing worked. In fact, it seemed like the more they tried to fight the evil presence, the stronger it became. Eventually, they had no choice but to call in the help of a priest. When the priest arrived, he was skeptical but intrigued enough to investigate. He performed an exorcism on the house, but it didn't take long for him to realize that this was no ordinary haunting. He could feel an evil presence all around him, and he could sense that there was something very powerful at work here. The priest continued with the exorcism, but just as he was about to finish, the evil presence fought back. He was thrown to the ground and injured badly. Once he recovered, he fled the house and never returned. Everyone in the Otto household was terrified, and they knew that they needed to do something quickly before the evil presence consumed them all. They packed up their belongings and left the house as fast as they could. As soon as they were gone, the evil presence spread throughout the house like wildfire. It started moving objects around, shaking beds, and even interacting with people who were still inside. Those people were too scared to stay any longer, and they also left the house. Ever since then, no one has been able to live in the Otto household because the evil presence is just too strong. The house is now abandoned, and it stands as a warning to those who might want to mess with the supernatural. In the early 1970s, a man named Malcolm B. knew he was in for a shock when he inherited his great-uncle's collection of curiosities. What he found was more shocking than he could have ever imagined. His great-uncle had collected a variety of cursed objects from around the world, and he had kept them hidden away in his attic. When Malcolm first went to the attic, he was just curious about what his great-uncle had collected. But he soon realized that he was in danger as soon as he stepped foot in the door. The air was thick with dread, and he could feel an evil presence watching him from the shadows. But he pressed on. As he looked around, he saw all sorts of strange and creepy items. There were dolls that had blank stares and sharp teeth, masks that looked like they were possessed by demons, and books that were bound in human skin. But one item stood out from the rest. It was a small wooden doll with a painted face and lifeless button eyes. Malcolm didn't know it at the time, but that doll was one of the most evil objects in the world, and it was going to change his life forever. As he picked the doll up, he could feel a surge of energy course through his body. He dropped it quickly and backed away, but it was too late. The doll had already cursed him. From that day on, Malcolm's life took a dark turn. He began to experience strange and terrifying events that he couldn't explain. Doors would open and close on their own. Objects would move around the room, and he would hear whispers in the dead of night. It was like the doll had unleashed a curse upon him, and his life would never be the same again. Desperate to break the curse, Malcolm turned to experts in the paranormal. They told him that the only way to break the curse was to find the doll, its maker, and destroy the doll. But the problem was that Malcolm didn't know who made the doll or how he could destroy it without releasing the curse entirely. He searched high and low for answers, but it seemed like the doll was hiding its secrets close to its chest. Just when he was about to give up hope, he found an old book that contained information about the doll. The book told the story of a wicked witch who used dolls to trap the souls of her victims. It also said that the only way to break the curse was to perform a ritual that would bind the doll's soul to its body forever. With newfound determination, Malcolm gathered the necessary items for the ritual and prepared to perform it. But as he reached out to touch the doll, its button eyes flashed with an eerie glow, and a voice whispered in his ear, "You can't escape me." Malcolm froze in fear as the doll's curse threatened to consume him. Would he be able to break the curse, or was he doomed to suffer forever? Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below of what you think about Robert the doll. See you in the next video.